Welcome back to 101 Sports. I'm now joined by our racing expert, Steven Toronto, to talk some NASCAR and the upcoming Cup Chase. Steven, with the chase field set, whose run to make the chase was most impressive?
I've got to go with Joey Logano because you consider when he first came along, he had so much hype that he was thrust into the Cup Series way too early at age 18 when he didn't even have half a season of Nationwide under his belt. Obviously, he had flashes of brilliance, but he struggled. He wasn't consistent. His sponsor gave up on him. He was on the hot seat for a while until eventually he was released in favor of Matt Kenseth at the end of last season. He had a rough start to this season, too, with his squabbles with Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart. But ever since the summer started, when he's been hot, he has been red hot. Obviously, he had the win in Michigan. He's been the strongest out of the Ford camp that I've seen. And ultimately, I'm not going to go with him being a championship contender yet, especially considering that he struggled in that last race at Richmond and almost blew it. But I would say this has been a career year for Logano, and I'm very pleased to see that.
Well, Logano, certainly somebody to watch in the chase, but there's been a pretty big controversy in this NASCAR chase that surrounded Martin Truex Jr., who recently made the chase as a wild card, but it was discovered that Clint Bowyer spun out on purpose to allow Truex Jr. in the race. Now, fines have been issued, and Truex has been taken out of the chase. Michael Waltrip Racing was fined a record $300,000, and its teams were deducted 50 points, and General Manager Ty Norris was suspended indefinitely. Was this the right decision, Steven?
It was the right decision, but it wasn't severe enough, especially considering
wasn't severe enough. Wow.
Clint Bowyer's 50-point penalty only applies to the regular season, and he's already in the chase.
This doesn't matter.
So as the chase standings are receded, his position in the points isn't affected enough. If you asked me how the penalty should be applied, I would say strip Bowyer of his chase position, penalize all Michael Waltrip Racing teams 150 points towards this season and next season.
Wow.
But ultimately, I'm glad that NASCAR took action on this because ultimately, if they didn't, I think that the next logical step would have been to have team orders like we see in F1 with teammates pulling over to let each other win.
Someone who is in the chase, and there's no controversy about it, is Kurt Busch. And Denver-based Furniture Row Racing actually became the first single-car team to make the chase with Kurt Busch at the helm. Can they go all the way?
Well, I remember when Furniture Row Racing was a backmarker team in the Busch Series. I've seen them come all the way up to be a chase contender, but I don't think they're going to be a serious threat for the championship.
At least not this year.
Just because they've struggled on pit road a lot. I think Kurt Busch may have won 2 or 3 races by now, if not for all those pit road struggles, putting him back in the field and bogging him in traffic. But I will say, though, Kurt Busch, I think he's been the best I've ever seen him this year. I mean, he has just been unreal behind the wheel of that 78 car. I mean, we'll see. I don't think they have anything to lose, considering that Busch is on his way out at the end of this season. But it should be interesting. Whichever way it goes, it's a historic accomplishment for Furniture Row Racing.
Well, if not Kurt Busch, excuse me, who do you got?
I'm going with Jimmie Johnson again, just because Brad Keselowski, the only driver who's really been able to hang with Johnson, beat him at his own game, isn't in the chase. No one else that I see has the consistency or the prowess to keep up with him. I think Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus and that 48 team are going to complete the six-pack.
Should be a great Sprint Cup championship. But that's all the time we have for this block. Next up, Jake will check out the latest college football rankings with one of our experts. Stay tuned.